Business Today. I'm Rona Nahabwe with Winnie Winza Nakauchi on the sign language interpretation. Before we kick it off, here's a quick look at our top stories. Today, President Museveni expresses optimism about economic growth as the mineral industry value addition plus the troubled PDM are fronted. Payment wars persist for extension workers. Maif has no answers. And agro-industrial surge points out import substitution strategy. You're welcome once again to Business Today, and now let's just get right into it. Now, let's begin with the State of the Nation's address. President Museveni addressed the nation today as per the constitutional mandate, and the president, who was in an optimistic mood, informed the country that the economic performance has grown up to $49.4 billion as inflationary pressures fall. He affirmed his belief in the fundamentals behind the expansion of the mineral industry. Samla Hanifa reports.
Article 101 of the Constitution of Uganda mandates the president to address the country at the very start of every financial year. While opening the third session of the 11th Parliament, Speaker Anita Mong informed the country that so far 38 bills have been passed during the second session.
Value-added tax amendment bill 2023, the exercise duty amendment bill 2023, the lotteries and gaming amendment bill 2023, the Tax Procedure Code Amendment 2023.
During the state speech, President Museveni expressed his pleasure over the presumably good performance of the economy, whose gross domestic product has grown to $49.4 billion, 30 times more since 1986.
The NRM government took administration of the country. The size of our economy was equivalent to $1.5 billion. That's what it was in 1986. Today, our economy is about $49.4 billion. In other words, the economy, this is if you use the exchange rate method, in other words, the economy has expanded by more than 30 times since 1986.
According to the president, continued implementation of the troubled parish development model, Emyoga oil and gas sector are crucial, as he highlighted how recovery of economies in Asia Middle East is a benchmark. Locally, the GDP is expected to grow up to $156.7 billion since in 5 years as inflation drops.
This growth will arise from 1. Economic stability as a result of low inflation, 2. Establishment of more manufacturing plants, factories. Ugandans, when you hear plants, don't think they are talking about crops. Plants in this English of theirs mean factories. I don't know why they call them plants. Amakorero. Continued implementation of the parish development model. 4. Support small and medium-scale enterprises through Emyoga circles, the youth and women funds and other initiatives. 5. Increased oil and gas sector activities. And 6. Growth in regional trade and the positive impact of the continued recovery of the economies in the Middle East, Asia, Europe, and the USA, which provide markets for our exports.
In the 2023-2024 financial year, economic priorities are led by peace and security, with over $7 trillion for governance and security, effective implementation of parish development model, transport as the SGR remains focal, renewable energy utilization through solar-powered irrigation system for modern agriculture hasn't been left out, as corruption is to be further addressed.
In the next financial year, 2023-2024, the following key strategic areas will be prioritized. Peace and security of personal and property, number 1. effective implementation of the parish development model and the MIOGA, acquisition of right-of-way and starting the construction of the standard gauge railway, as well as finalizing the rehabilitation of the meter gauge railway. Number 4, investing in small-scale solar-powered irrigation systems to address climate change and ensure food security and eliminate the erraticness in agricultural production.
According to legislators, the prophesized hope by the president simply has to be complemented by fizzling out corruption tendencies, as taxation, the mineral industry, and administration, among others, lead in the corruption crisis.
The president is trying to show us that it's no longer tomorrow, it is now, to see Uganda improving and to go to middle income status, to money economy. Because if you see the dream we had before about 2040 vision, now it's shortened. It's like tomorrow. If we want to see Uganda going on, we should start now doing development things.
For economic growth is there, but it still hasn't caught up as the time before COVID. So there is something moving to positive, but it is not yet sufficient. That's what I can say. So, and secondly, the data being used by the president, even himself, he said this is data from finance, means they don't respect the whole country. So the data is not well distributed countrywide. This is average data. So when he talks about 6%, it doesn't mean that the whole country is 6%.
He has not said new things. That's unfortunate. He has not said new things, and what we require is implementation. Because this blame game, his speech was full of blaming.
The first sitting of the first meeting of the third session of the 11th Parliament of Uganda has been concluded with the president highlighting on the economic performance of the country, which he says is at $49.4 billion compared to the years before the NRM came to power. Samla Nifa, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
Thank you, Samla Hanifa, for that report. Now, away from the State of Nation address, let's set our eyes on markets inspired by value addition. In a bid to enhance value addition and boost Uganda's export potential, government has entered into a partnership with Banana Industry Research and Development Center, and this collaboration aims to propel the country's banana industry forward by ensuring value addition, expanding opportunities for exportation, and government statistics indicate that exports of goods with value added have generated over $6 billion, and that number has predicted to increase to $12 billion by 2026. This report was compiled by Naomi Mutumba, and here's a look at the report.
According to Uganda Export Promotion Board, the export value of bananas and banana products in 2020 amounted to approximately $28 million, and by 2022, there has been a surge to $6 billion export earnings. With the government's focus on value addition and the partnership with BADIC, this figure is expected to increase significantly in the coming years. Value-added banana products have witnessed a surge in demand globally, with a global market estimated to reach a value of $12 billion by 2026. Uganda's strategic focus on value addition positions the country to capture a significant share of this growing market. The collaboration between the government and BADIC aims to enhance value addition within the banana industry.
The export earnings stand at $6 billion, and we were tasked to make sure that we come and make it double, which will come to up to $12 billion.
Data from the Ministry of Agriculture indicates that Uganda is the second largest producer of bananas in the world, with an estimated annual production of over 11 million metric tons. However, a significant portion of this production is currently consumed domestically, with limited value addition and exportation. Professor Florence Moranga, the Director General at BADIC, says that they are projecting Uganda's banana exports to reach a substantial growth rate of up to 20% per year.
At a point where we are really in the expansion phase, I'm talking from the standpoint of an industry producing 1.4 tons of dry stuff per day. emerging from one shift to a double shift, and building towards bringing capacity within the next 2 years of about 10 to 15 tons of dry stuff per day.
In Uganda's evolving business landscape, the quest for deeper market penetration and increased profitability has led entrepreneurs to embrace a range of tools and techniques for product distribution. Particularly, the focus on value-added products has given rise to a wave of innovation, creating exciting avenues for both businesses and consumers. The recent statistics show that the e-commerce market in Uganda has witnessed remarkable growth, with an annual growth rate of approximately 73%. This surge in online trade has allowed businesses to overcome traditional distribution limitations and reach customers in even most remote areas. According to Isaiah Semamulia, sales executive at Toke, indicated as they have launched the new generation tools of trade to have a deeper market penetration.
Trade, an organization cannot effectively distribute its products in the marketplace. So today, we witness the launch of our first batch of tools of trade that we're going to use mainly to distribute products in Central as well as Eastern Uganda. In Western Uganda, we actually have deeper market penetration, and our plan is to ensure that we deepen our market execution both in Central as well as Eastern Uganda.
Bananas are increasingly being targeted for income generation through public-private partnerships to alleviate poverty, fight hunger, and improve nutrition. Statistics from PIBID on the amount of bananas produced indicate that Uganda produces 9.9 million metric tons of bananas annually, and most of it is consumed locally. With government's efforts, value addition on matoke will create more revenue through exports. Naomi Mtumba, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
Moving on from that, let's look at the markets. Let's look at the declining bank deposits. Now, according to a 2021 Labour Survey report by the Uganda Bureau of Statistics, only 11% of the youth in Uganda have functional bank accounts, implying that 89% of the remaining have dormant accounts. Could this be a reason for the high transaction costs? Bankers, for this reason, have therefore attributed this to a lack of knowledge and accessibility of financial services on top of costs. Pedson Mumbere reports.
A major challenge for Uganda's household is the highest cost of financial services. Data from the Uganda Bureau of Statistics Labour Survey indicate that only 11% of the youth have functional bank accounts. During the launch of InterSwitch partnership with bankers, financial experts attributed this to lack of accessibility to where one can transact, the cost of transactions, and lastly, lack of knowledge on how to access financial services.
In accounts. According to the last FinScope study, there are three key things that limit the access to financial services in Uganda. Number one is accessibility, so proximity to where you can transact from. The second is cost. As you rightly say, it often is still very expensive for most Ugandans to access financial services. And the third is knowledge. Many people still do not know how to access and how to use the financial services that we are putting out there.
This is true magic. The infrastructure, the cost of maintaining an ATM is so high. I don't have to now keep rolling out ATMs everywhere. Those machines are costly in terms of security, in terms of insurance, in terms of cash management, power, connections of internet availability. There are so many other costs.
According to Peter Kaumi, the country general manager of InterSwitch, the journey to make the cost of transactions affordable to Ugandans will depend on partnerships. For example, Equity Bank Uganda's collaboration with InterSwitch will enable Equity ATM machines to accept bank cards of other local participating banks and institutions on the InterSwitch network, easing accessibility of financial services not only in Uganda but also in Kenya.
Directly addressing two of those, the cost aspect and the proximity or accessibility aspect. By joining the InterSwitch family,
evidently there is transactional income. But as Peter has said, our approach is to have many people, as many people transacting at a low price. So it is not a high value, it's more of a high volume, low price model. So more transactions, more people transacting, but charged small amount of money, and that is how the banks and InterSwitch will make money. That is the true value in terms of dollars and cents. But the true reward for us is the impact.
Another challenge is the low levels of public confidence in formal financial institutions, largely due to historical experiences related to a series of crises and upheavals in the financial system. As a result, many Ugandans prefer to have their bank accounts dormant. However, in such partnerships, the cost of transactions via ATM will be reduced. For example, Equity Bank and InterSwitch cost will be reduced by 60%, and switching to regulated payment systems will bring public confidence back. Pedson Mumbere, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
Away from that, United Arcaders Traders Entrepreneurship Association has today faulted the country's presumably regressive economic and revenue policies, restrictive licensing, a non-inclusive banking sector, and a shrinking local market for the traders' products have been noted as traders threaten to strike over a costly trading environment. Ivan Tibenkana reports.
All right, I'm standing in the heart of Kampala city. This is downtown Kampala. Numerous arcades from the likes of Naluwama to my right, and over there above you can see Parkview, which you can't see obviously, but it's Parkview Shopping Center, one of the different arcades. And down there, as you can see, numerous arcades. Now, traders that transact business in the different arcades are stranded, and they say they are bound to go on strike. You would call it so. But what is basically the reason? One of the biggest reasons is the fact that there is a problem to transact business in regard to the licensing requirements when you talk about the taxation, URA among other players. Now 260,000 shillings seems little, but it has become a problem for these numerous traders that say with this, in regard to other problems such as taxation, to them they call it double taxation. They're not going to do any other licensing as far as requirements are concerned. And obviously licenses come every single year. That's according to KCCA, which needs different stakeholders to offer what they have to do per year. That's 260,000 shillings to transact business in the different arcades in here. Now, according to the association that brings together the different traders that transact business in there, and obviously Kampala has something like 30,000 traders in the different arcades. They say they are bound to go on strike, provided the situation isn't remedied. And the competition that comes with the different other players such as the Chinese, and then the burden to secure loans from the different banks that have to help out on transacting the businesses has been another challenge as far as their businesses are concerned.
Banka bwe batalina license ng'erina mu ggwanga ng'ate yabagwira awo abakola ku nsonga eno naddala nga mu system eza banking institution bo baliwa.
Bank of Uganda called upon commercial banks in light of the Small Business Recovery Fund. I have a proof.
Kampala Capital City Authority holds graded licensing rates for different businesses that opt to transact from the capital. As for the United Arcaders Traders Entrepreneurship Association, the licensing obligation that currently sits at 260,000 shillings, irrespective of the nature of business, has compounded a big burden that has further been undermined by untenable banking services, shrinking domestic market, and the erratic income tax.
People consider the issue to be very small, but forgetting that we lost our neighboring markets, the markets of Congo, markets of Sudan, Kenya, Tanzania, and Rwanda. Those people are no longer coming here, and that means as traders today we are basing on the internal market, and that alone makes business moving slow. People are not earning at all. We are basing on the internal market, and yet we are having these so-called investors, the Chinese and the Indians. They call themselves investors.
Income tax.
Income tax, we have been left hanging. They come at once, 3 million or so. They don't care. You will be told that's your due to clear. Even if you explain that your business underperforms, they do.
According to the Akedas Association spokesperson, Moses Lwegawa, failure to assimilate the Small Business Recovery Fund, a provision by the central bank, has impacted on business growth, further threatened by the unnecessary competition from foreign would-be investors.
Eggwanga Uganda, Bank of Uganda, neita banks zonna ne ziwitinensinga maaso gaayo ne zigamba zina sente zibayita za Small Business Recovery Fund.
Right now, the banks deny about the recovery funds whenever traders try to access them. We wonder who is in control or whether institutions are ungoverned.
Sustainability of arcade-based businesses in central Kampala seems to be on the loose, with rents ranging from as little as 1 million shillings to about 10 million, coupled by limited sales. This is impacted by the tax obligation, with a presumed 78% of traders regarded illiterate and troubled by tax-related obligations, such as assessment and filing returns.
For a shop without big stock, you could spend a week without sales, but for rent,
there is a growing tumble among business holders that goes beyond operational costs, such as license fees, and authorities such as KCCA, the judiciary, plus banks, that has been highlighted by interest in the 41 billion shillings case involving Hamis Chegundu and Diamond Trust Bank, where concerns on legal lending limits and illegal deductions have been exposed. Ivan Tibenkana, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
All right, now we will now take a short break, but we do have more from Business Today. Don't go away.